All right, everybody, welcome into Four Down Territory. I am Nick Carboni, and I am joined by fellow WCNC sports reporter Ashley Stroehlein down there on the bottom left of your screen. And from Tampa, on the right side, we've got Justin Granit and Ryan Bass, and we are T-minus 24 hours away from this big Thursday night primetime matchup between division rivals Carolina and Tampa. It's going to be here in Charlotte, North Carolina tomorrow night. So we're going to take you through our thoughts on the game, the matchups, the big storylines. I heard we got a few, maybe a player or two that used to play for Tampa now here in Carolina. And we want you to chime in. We want you to comment on our Facebook pages here at WCNC and WTSP, on our YouTube channel, on Twitter, and however else you are getting us tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. Guys, thank you for joining us from Tampa. We're going to start with you, Justin and Ryan. How are the Bucs feeling coming into this game at Carolina? Both teams 0-1.
Yeah, this is a big one for those Tampa Bay Bucs. The fans have already started the campaign, tank for Tua, because after those 3 interceptions in the opener against the 49ers, people are a little cold on Jameis Winston right now.
Last time I checked, tank for Tua was a copyright by the Miami Dolphins down south in Miami, Florida, because they're really tanking for Tua. As for the Bucs, look, the Bruce Arians era didn't get off to the start that everybody wanted. They need this game. They want this game. They want to silence the critics. And I think Jameis Winston wants to silence some critics too. So they want to win badly, and they want to beat that guy on the other side of the field in 93-year-old McCoy.
Stro, you were in the locker room all week, or I guess on a short week with Carolina. How are they feeling coming off that loss to their week 1 opponent? Geez, I'm already blanking on it. It was
Rams.
Former NFC champs. I know. We want to forget around here. Stro,
yeah, I was going to say. They're trying to forget about it, too. You're not the only one here in Carolina. The mood, though, I think it went from angry to high energy, kind of feeling loose. So it went from that team that was really upset that that's how their week 1 matchup went to, okay, you know what? Let's shake it off. We've got this quick turnaround. It's actually not necessarily a bad thing. We get a few days to go out and re-show kind of who we want to be this season, and we get to do it in prime time nonetheless against a division rival.
Yeah, loose locker room this week. I was a little surprised by that, but we'll get into that. So again, if you're at home, you're watching us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, however you're getting us, feel free to comment there. We'll try to answer some of your questions, respond to some of your comments, whether you're in Charlotte or you're in Tampa. So the way this is going to work, it's called 4 Down Territory. We're going to go first through 4th downs. We're going to end with a prediction. I have to warn my cohort Stro that she's not a big fan of that, but she's usually dead on. So let's go first down. This is fill in the blank, and we're going to start with Tampa. Let's start with you, Justin. Fill in the blank. Jameis Winston's road woes. He's got 12 straight road losses as the Bucs quarterback is due to blank.
Continue to make poor decisions. Right now, when it comes to Jameis Winston, it's all about how many turnovers, how many interceptions, and how many head-scratching plays. There was a lot of excuses coming from Bruce Arians after game 1 saying he's getting used to our new system. A lot of the receivers took bad routes. The last time I checked, when you have a running back going up against a future Hall of Famer and Richard Sherman, you don't throw the ball that way or it's going to lead to a pick 6. That's exactly what happened. It comes down to decision-making, and until he proves it, either at Ray J or on the road, you can't trust the guy. So right now, it's decision-making for Jameis Winston.
Yeah, and I think I'll piggyback that off, Jay. I mean, there's one word, and it's turnovers. And it's not just interceptions. He's been pretty bad at fumbling the football, too. But specifically looking at those INTs, he's got 17 multi-interception games in his career, Jameis Winston does. When he broke into the league back in, 2012, he's now the most of throwing multi-interception games, passing Blake Bortles. Anytime you pass Blake Bortles on a list, and look, I'm a UCF alum, I love the guy, but anytime you pass him on a list, it's usually not very good. That's what it comes down to.
He might end up where Bortles is at if he doesn't turn it around.
I think he's in a pretty good situation. Bortles is in LA for a team that could win the Super Bowl this year. But look, it comes to turnovers. Jameis turns the football over way too much. And if they're going to win this game tomorrow in Charlotte, Jameis has to protect the football. It just comes down to it.
By the way, Ash and Nick, we're about 2 minutes in. He already made a UCF reference. Go figure.
Wow. National champs, get out of here. Okay.
There you go, baby. Let's go.
Very different day.
Panthers is most against any opponent. Ashley, fill in the blank. Cam throwing 1 ball over 20 yards against the Rams is blank.
I said false. Maybe not the word you're looking for, but I'm going to go with false on that one. I'm going to say he's going to come out. I don't think he really got to be who he wanted to be in game 1, especially after talking to him this week at his weekly press conference and whether or not that deep ball is still there. So I think he's going to say, hey, coach, I want to be a little bit more of myself. Let's give it a go and complete some passes.
Yeah, he's in Norv Turner's ear. He accused Norv Turner of having Christian McCaffrey in fantasy last week, and that's why McCaffrey had 209 total yards. I'm going to say
Norv Turner's a smart man then.
Yeah, exactly. Who wouldn't? Cam throwing one ball over 20 yards versus the Rams is fine for now. Against the Rams, they got a pretty good secondary. I'm not sure how much, Cam was feeling it after not playing the preseason, except for a couple snaps and then an injury, plus leaving last season early and having a second shoulder surgery. They need to open things up a little bit more. But if I don't see, 4 or 5 deep balls attempted against the Bucs Thursday night, I'm definitely going to be concerned. Back to Tampa. Bruce Arians and Jameis Winston's relationship is blank. This is my favorite one, and I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say.
Honestly, I mean, Nick, I think it runs deep. It really does. I mean, it goes back to Jameis's days when he was in high school in Alabama. I think they're really close, and you – look, I think it takes time, right? In the first couple of games for a quarterback under Bruce Arians, they've lost. And I don't necessarily think that that's going to translate to what it's going to look like over the full season. So I think Bruce and Jameis are on the same page. I just think there were a couple of throws that Jameis made that Bruce would certainly like to take back. Look, there was also a couple of touchdowns for Cam Great that were called back as well last weekend. So I think they have a close-knit relationship. They're certainly a tight group. Bruce is a quarterback whisperer. We've heard that tossed around. I think they're going to get it figured out, and that close relationship is going to be key to see how Jameis can grow over the course.
Love fest.
What do you think about coach and quarterback?
Love fest. That's what it is. And he's the quarterback whisperer, but he needs to start screaming in Jameis's ear to get that point across. Because right now, he is not getting that message. Bruce Arians came out of retirement, a cush gig up in the broadcast booth because he truly believes in Jameis Winston. And that relationship does go back so far. And Bruce showed Jameis that Super Bowl ring many years ago that he got with Pittsburgh. And that kind of inspired Jameis for the first time ever, he said, to really want to one day win a Super Bowl. This was dating back to his days as a teenager. He could have stayed retired. He came back because he truly believes in Jameis Winston. And to make this happen after a 5th year picking up that $20 million option, the two of them have to mesh and it has to work. And right now off the field, everything is great. It's just they got to click on the field.
He might be the only one who still believes in Jameis Winston, to be honest.
Holding on to the deer end he is. All right, so let's talk about Christian McCaffrey on the other side. And I think, more evidence, Ashley, that Norv Turner did draft him in fantasy. He played 100% of the snaps against the Rams. Christian McCaffrey playing 100% of the snaps is blank, Stro.
Depends on the flow of the game. I'm going to say highly likely. Coach Rivera was asked about that in his press conference after the game, and he said, well, it's not necessarily what you want to do, but when it's working, you don't want to disrupt that rhythm. So I think if the Panthers don't get a big lead or don't get a good head start, you're going to see Christian McCaffrey out there doing exactly what he did the last game.
I think Christian playing 100% of the snaps, 100% is ill-advised. While I don't think they needed to get a lot of help for him in the offseason, and they didn't, they just kept a couple of rookies around and cut the veteran Cameron Artis-Payne. I think Christian McCaffrey was gassed at the end of that Rams game. I think it was inflated to 100% because they needed him to do all the things that he could do to get back in that game. You talk about riding the hot hand. He was the only hand that the Panthers had in that game. So I think it's going to be high as it normally is. They need to keep feeding this kid the rock, but I think it's going to be 96%, not 100. Let's go back to Tampa real quick. Bucs fans are feeling blank about this game against Carolina. Ryan?
They're feeling, I don't know, apprehensive. I mean, I like the word. I think they're looking at this as like, can we finally get a victory, right? I mean, this is a team that's been reeling for decades. For a decade long, they haven't made the playoffs. So I think they're looking at this game as basically a game, can we get a victory against a team that, look, they beat last season. Remember, Andrew Adams had 3 picks on Cam Newton in that final game of the year last year between those two teams. So I think they're looking at it as, you know what, let's go into Carolina. Let's try and put our best foot forward. Let's try and play mistake-free football. Let's get the ground game going. That they had some success with Ronald Jones last week. I know they want to get Peyton Barber going as well. Mike Evans didn't have the kind of game that he wanted last week. So I think they're looking at this and going into this game.
Yes.
Bucs fans are saying, you know what, let's play to our full potential and try to get a victory.
Justin, sorry.
Yeah, I've got Bucs fans looking at this as confused. They don't know what this team is right now. There are so many playmakers on the field, whether it's Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, O.J. Howard, Ronald Jones, the running back. We've heard so much this preseason. This is the year, the USC running back drafted early last year. He was going to take that next step. It looks like he does, but right now, with Jameis Winston at the helm, they're confused. The defense shut down the 49ers, albeit the 49ers are not a good football team. And the Bucs admitted they beat themselves in that season opener. But no one knows what this team is right now. Are they a borderline playoff team, or are they going to revert back to another 5-win season? So confused.
All right, Ashley, Panthers fans are feeling what about this game against the Bucs?
I'm going to say uneasy. You had all the hype kind of going into week 1. Cam's back. You've got your offense kind of feeling lots of energy, that kind of thing. Your defense is supposed to be revamped, and then you get a big L. So it didn't go the way they thought it would. I know we were in the press box kind of looking at fans leaving before the game was even over. It was pretty disappointing to watch them didn't go the way they thought out of the stadium there. So I think they're uneasy, but cautiously optimistic. That's my favorite go-to, cautiously optimistic. So there we go.
I feel like Panthers fans are on edge about this game, guys, and they're on edge about a whole lot of stuff. Like, is this new defense really going to be the one that returns the Panthers back to its glory days on defense? Is Cam going to be who Cam was 3 years ago ever again? They just didn't see all that come together in week 1, and I think this is a good opportunity for this team to try and show all of that in prime time on Thursday Night Football. Okay, so that is the end of First Down. Good job, everybody. Kind of looking at stuff for comments and stuff we can read, on the air, on the live stream. We got, some Jameis hate. We got hate on our quarterbacks in both of our markets. Do you feel like we had a comment at this point?
You know what I think Justin loves? Justin's a trendy dresser. I think he loves Cam's attire.
Well, I just want to know about Cam's hair and how much product he has in it, because he gives me a run for the money. I do like the triple blow dry in the hair. I think he's got like the quadruple blow dry and a lot more product.
All right, let's get to second down, guys. We are going to do a little buy or sell. I'll throw out a topic. You got to buy it. You got to sell it. We all know how this works. Let's start with you guys in Tampa. Justin, I'll get this one to you. Gerald McCoy in the Panthers locker room this week was downplaying this matchup. The Bucs cut him after 9 seasons. Warren Sapp said a bunch of not nice stuff about him, but Gerald McCoy says this is just another game. You buying or selling?
I'm selling. Hard sell, especially after all the comments Bruce Arians had about Gerald McCoy and also Warren Sapp calling him undeserving of being in the Bucs Ring of Honor after he retires down the road. He said it wasn't that important. He said his family, the friends, the fans, the media, they're all playing this bigger than what it is. He knows this is a big moment for him. When Ndamukong Suh was given his number here, it hurt him. It hurt him the final game of last season when he knew that was it. He sat in that locker room and looked at all us and said, this is likely it. This is my last game as a Buck. And I know he wanted to retire as a Buccaneer, but Bruce Arians and this new regime had another plan in place. That's false. This means a lot to him.
Ryan, Gerald.
I'm going to sell that. I mean, I've covered Gerald for years. Justin and I both have. I mean, he's at his locker yesterday. And Ashley, I'm sure you were in the locker room, and he's talking about how, I'm going to retire a Buck. I've already talked to the Glazers, one-day contract, whatever it may have. He cares about this game. He may tell you face to face, it's just another game. I don't care about it. I'll tell you what, he'd probably care a little bit more if it was played at Raymond James Stadium this Sunday instead of in Charlotte, North Carolina. But he cares deeply about this team because he wants to go out and prove, not just to Bruce Arians, but this entire organization, Jason Light and company, that, you know what, I am a Pro Bowl level type defensive tackle that you let go. He's going to try and wreak havoc. He's going to try to be in the backfield all game long. I'll tell you what, him to say it doesn't mean much. He's just blowing smoke.
Yeah, we got to him in the locker room yesterday, and he kind of gave us that face, when a dude doesn't want to talk to you about what you want to talk to him about. And it was
he gave us that face for like the last 8 years, so don't worry.
I'm like, where's the Gerald McCoy I thought we were getting from Tampa? And then he talked to us for 35 minutes about playing against the Bucs, and he's going to try to downplay, but I'm selling that too. I'm going to move on to a Panther who won. Buy or sell, Ashley. Cam is completely healthy. Buy or sell?
Okay, I'm going to go with a buy on that. And I'm going to say the reason that he's holding back is he is scared to get hurt again. He's 30 years old. He brought up in the locker room this week how tired he is of being hurt year after year. So I think he's to that point where he's like, I just want to make it through a season being healthy. If that means not challenging myself as much, or you guys don't see the old, quote unquote, old Cam Newton out there on the field, then so be it. We'll figure it out. So I'm going to say he's a lot healthier than we all think. I think a lot of what we're seeing is just him being reserved, trying to stay healthy.
Yeah, Ashley, I definitely believe that to a point. I don't think that Cam will ever be fully healthy again. So I'm going to sell it based on that. But I think he's darn close to 100% closer than we've seen him in a while. He's had ankle issues. He's obviously had shoulder issues. He sprained his foot a couple weeks ago. I think he's trying to work all that stuff, those recent injuries back. And he didn't have much of a preseason to do so. Sprained his foot during the preseason. Only ran 3 times, 1 design run in week 1. So I think they're kind of bringing him along a little bit slowly than fans would like, but I think he's getting there.
All right. See that 9 rushing touchdown total there on the screen?
Gerald McCoy's number 93 is a better option than McCoy for the Bucs, buy or sell.
How about a push?
Yeah.
I mean, it's 2 very similar players, kind of past their prime at this point. The only difference I see between the 2, and Bruce Arians brought this up as well, is the mean streak ensue for either the good or the bad, because a lot of it has been the bad. But here in Tampa, he's been really good. He doesn't say much, especially to the media. But at this point, he's kind of fallen in line and been the guy I think they were looking for. But in terms of production, I just don't see much of a difference between the 2. I think for Bruce Arians, it came down to personality, and he needed a meaner guy in this locker room because there wasn't that edge on Gerald McCoy that necessarily I think BA was looking for.
Ryan?
Look, to me, I think you get the same out of each guy. I mean, the thing that with Gerald here, right? I think fans got a little tired of, there was always this stigma with Gerald that 1, he didn't play well in the 4th quarter. 2, as Justin mentioned, he didn't have that mean streak. And 3, they look at his numbers and his production. They're like, okay, is that really Hall of Famer type numbers? Remember, they're expecting Warren Sapp type numbers here at that position. That's not what you're getting. So I think when you swap Sue in for McCoy, I don't think you lose much. I think, as Justin mentioned, you got that mean streak with Sue. But I think he's out to prove as well that he's not the dirty player that everybody believes he is in the NFL. And he wants to show that he could be a Pro Bowl type defensive tackle as well, like we saw when he was in Miami. So I think both guys have a lot to prove, but I don't think you're losing much by inserting Sue and swapping McCoy.
All right, Stro, before I get to you with your next buy or sell, got some comments coming in on YouTube. And we've got, will Cam ever be a running threat again? That is from Rusty. I'm going to say he will. I mean, I think it's always going to be part of his game. He's 30. I think it'll still be a part of his game in some way when he's 31, 32, 33, however long he's able to last in this league, because it is absolutely part of his edge, as he said many times before. He's never going to be that Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees, Andrew Luck type. I think he needs that, not in the way he did in the first 5 years, but certainly more than the way he did in week 1 with 3 rushes.
He's got 9 rushing touchdowns in his career against the Bucs. He's going to add 2 more in this game.
Yeah, I think this is that primetime game. He always seems to get those legs underneath him just a little bit. So, Stro, back to the buy or sell. Thank you for the comment, Rusty. Thieves Avenue. For those who don't know, in Tampa, that's what that swaggy secondary in Carolina, that Super Bowl year, called itself, because they were taking the ball away a lot. Hasn't been that way since Josh Norman left. Ashley, Thieves Avenue is back after game 1. Buy or sell, or just in general this year?
Yeah, I'm going to have to sell. I don't think Thieves Ave will ever be the Thieves Ave of 2015. It was just a special year. That group just bonded and meshed in a way that we haven't seen since. Do I think they're starting to get some of their quote unquote swag back? Sure. I think that they did mesh pretty well in game 1, but to me, Thieves Ave, it's always going to be Thieves Ave of 2015.
I'm going to buy it. I got it after that 2015 season, and I was like, Thieves Ave, the whole thing with Cam's the MVP. I need some of that to come back. And the reason I'm going to buy it is because I think they are going to get after the passer this year better than they did before, and that creates those back-end turnovers. And you know what? If James Bradbury is out there jumping routes and making picks, dude had 5 interceptions coming into this year, I think that shows that he's ready to make the next jump in his game. Love Dante Jackson on the other side, some center fielders back there in the safety position. I'm going to buy that Thieves Ave is back. Tampa, last one. Same old Jameis, buy or sell. 3 picks last week, 2 went for score.
You mentioned Thieves Avenue. Congratulations. You got a guy who's very giving to Thieves Avenue coming into Charlotte, North Carolina tomorrow night. I'm going to buy that the old Jameis here with the turnover. Look, they can talk all he wants. And we've talked a lot about this off the air here. He needs to make the same mistakes. And there continues to be excuses for the mistakes. I think he's still a guy that's going to turn the football over and throw anywhere from 20 to 25 picks a season. That's just who Jameis is. He takes chances. Sometimes they're bad. Sometimes they're really good. We saw a play with Mike Evans a few years ago where he chucked the ball up in the middle of the field and went down the field, and it was like a 56-yard gain. So I still think Jameis is going to be turnover prone. The issue is, can he rein it in the second half of games when they have a lead? Can he not make that critical turnover like he did Sunday against the 49ers when they were still within striking distance? That's going to be the difference.
Justin, buy or sell? Same old Jameis.
Buy, and high buy right there. It's until he proves he shows anything different. You see these games. You go pick in the first half, pick to Richard Sherman. Then all of a sudden he has a really nice drive capped off by Chris Godwin. It goes 11 drop plays, and he just looks like at times he can be that guy. He could be that Heisman Trophy winner, that national champion, that number 1 overall pick. But the regression is so much more significant than when he has those really good moments. 2 years ago, this team went 9-7. They looked like they were bound for the playoffs. And that was the point where you believed, okay, Jameis in his third year, he's really coming into his own. He's going to be that guy. And then last year was an absolute train wreck, whether it was the suspension for the allegations or the battle between him and Ryan Fitzpatrick. And remember, half of those guys in that locker room, specifically Deshaun Jackson, came out outwardly and backed Ryan Fitzpatrick. How many times do we have to learn about Ryan Fitzpatrick? He's not a good quarterback.
Hey.
Certain people tend to sway in his direction instead of Jameis last year. And I thought that spoke so much about the situation in that quarterback room that not everyone trusts Jameis Winston. And I don't think they trust him yet fully to this point either. So we're buying old Jameis.
I wanted to buy Jameis, same old Jameis, but I guess you guys are out of stock. You guys are all buying it down.
You bought all of it.
By the way, Justin, that buy, you'd make a pretty good member of a boy band.
Well,
nice job.
I thought he was already in one, but that's another live chat. We don't have time for that. We got to get to Ashley with a buy or sell. Last one for the Panthers and last one for second down. The Panthers have a number 1 wide receiver. Ashley, buy or sell?
I'm going to sell it. At the moment, I haven't seen it. Do I think there's potential? The guy on the screen right there. Yeah, I think Curtis Samuel could bring the heat at number 1. DJ Moore,
easy. He went to Maryland.
Yeah, but week 1 was not too kind to him.
Go ahead, Ashley.
Oh, that's it. We'll end on that. Nick, what you think?
All right, yeah, I'm going to sell it too for now. You know, Curtis Samuel and DJ Moore showed us in week 1 that they've still got a little bit of work to do. You know, Curtis in his third year technically, but he was injured a lot of those first 2 years, wasn't even a true wide receiver coming out of Ohio State. With all the progress he made when he went out there against a secondary that had Marcus Peters, Aqib Talib and company in it, he just didn't get the separation we saw in training camp. And you know, DJ Moore, he's kind of the guy you want to get him the ball and then he can do something with it. Well, a lot of what he's done with it is put it on the ground. So right now, selling that they have a number 1 wide receiver. Before we go to third down, does anybody have any comments? We got tons for like Go Bucks on our YouTube page. I don't know if that.
Right.
Yeah, what is that?
Although I do see one from John Smith saying, can we officially call him Jamarcus Winston? Huge bust in reference to Jamarcus Russell. So there's some non-believers out there.
He got a better career than Jamarcus Russell. Come on.
Yeah, he definitely. We can all agree upon that.
All right, let's get to our third down. This is over, under, and we're talking kind of prop bets for this game. Not that any of us are betting anything on the game. Tampa.
Entertainment purposes only.
Absolutely. Jameis interceptions, and I made up the lines, so they're probably not even close to what they really would be. Jameis Winston, over, under, 1.5 picks.
You know the actual over under on that is 5 in this game.
For
Get out.
Jameis picks?
No, I'm kidding, but it could be. It absolutely could be. Give me the over, man. Definitely give me the over. We're like a broken record these past 20 minutes. Until he shows something different, he's going to throw those picks. He's going to make those boneheaded mistakes, whether he's rushing outside the pocket or he's positioned there. And that offensive line has done him no help either. It's been a mess as well, but give me the over.
We've agreed a lot, Jay, on this chat here. I'm going to disagree with you. I think I'm going to go under here. I don't think Jameis throws an interception. Now, he might fumble the football, but he's not going to throw a pick because I think Bruce Arians is going to simplify the offense for him. I think you're going to see a lot of easy check down throws, whether it be to his Mr. Reliable safety blanket, Cameron Brate, or he tries to hit Mike Evans on a hitch route 5-10 yards up the field. I don't think they're going to try and force the issue with Jameis in this game. I think they're going to try to establish the run, let Peyton Barber and Ronald Jones do their thing, and try to get the ball out to those guys that can be reliable. The Chris Godwins, the Cam Brates. I don't think he throws a pick, which is very surprising to many people watching.
Yeah, he's got some good weapons on that football team. Ashley, over under Cam touchdown passes, setting the over under at 1.5, 0 last week.
I'm going to go over. I'm going to go 2. I just think he doesn't want to have those questions next week that he had all week this week, that he kind of danced around and joked around. And I think, you know what, you got the week 1 rust out of the way. You're in prime time. You just talked about prime time Cam. So I think when those bright lights come on, we're going to see at least 2 touchdown passes.
I'm going to say over. I'm going to go 2 as well. I think when Cam is in the red zone, they're not going to use him as much as a runner there as they have in the past. They've got a fullback in Alex Arma. They've got Christian McCaffrey. Greg Olsen, if he's healthy, as the tight end. Ian Thomas, their young tight end, is a threat there. I think Cam is going to get 2, and I think one of them is going to go to, guess who, Christian McCaffrey. Right there on that screen. Over under Tampa, guys. Mike Evans catches 5.5. What do you have last week? Less than 4, 3 catches, something like
less
that?
than that.
2.
Yeah, he had 5 targets, I believe, in last week's game. I'm going to go over. I think he's going to be force-fed the football in this game. I don't think there's anybody on the planet that can cover Mike Evans one-on-one, and I think they didn't exploit that enough last week against the 49ers. I think Mike Evans is going to have a monster game. You may see a deep pass or 2 by Jameis in this one, but I'm going to go over 5 catches for Mike.
Yeah, I've got over as well. And the reason for him not being productive in that opener, he was battling the bug, a pretty nasty one. He had to check himself out of the game several times. Still kind of getting over that, but it's on his mind, and he took ownership of it. He didn't make any excuses in the post-game locker room. He said, it doesn't matter that I was battling a bug. I need to make more grabs than that. Mike is one of the best wide receivers in all of football. He's going to have at least 6, 7 catches in this one.
Yeah, I think Evans should have a pretty good game. I think James Bradbury, the corner here, usually does a good job on him. But I think Evans, he knows he's got to turn it up a little bit.
He's going off. 10 catches, $155, 2 touchdowns. Mark.
Woo! All right. Poor James. We just added him to feed David. All right, Ashley, I'm going to start this one. We got Cam interceptions, 1.5. I'm going to say the under, but he's going to have 1. Cam always has that throw, no matter how sharp he is in any game. He's pretty sharp in the first half of last year. He's always got that throw where you're like, oh, my God, what was he looking at? What was he thinking? Had one last week. I think he gets 1 interception this week. I'm taking the under. What say you?
All right. I'm going to go under, but I'm going to say 0. I'm going to say you don't see that one pass. Oh, you might see the pass. Maybe it's not intercepted. How's that? I won't put it to it's that perfect of a game for him, but I don't know. I'm putting all the good juju out there for the Panthers. I think they're going to come out and have a good game.
Guys, didn't the Bucs just sign a safety that's picked Cam like 3 times?
Andrew Adams.
And he did it 3 times.
Of course.
Last time they met.
All right. Tampa guy.
All right, well, there's that.
Panthers sacks on Jameis, 2.5.
Give me the under. They just can't get after a quarterback, and that's dating back to years ago. JPP is out with the neck injury. Carl Nassib is probably their best pass rusher at this point, and this is a guy who was released last year and picked up by the Bucs before the season began. They struggle more than anything else on this team. That aspect, getting after a quarterback, I go under.
I screwed that up.
Under 2.
I had Ndamukong Suh sacks 1.5, but you can throw me a Tampa over under.
No, we're going to go Tampa over under here because I think Jay hit it right on the head. This team just doesn't get pressure on the quarterback. They've been struggling to do that for the last couple of years. I actually think what you saw in week 1 from both of these defenses were mirages. I don't believe either of these 2 defenses are what they showed in week 1. I don't think they're very good, quite frankly. I think both offenses are going to be really, really good in this game. I think Cam's going to have a lot of time to throw. I think the same thing is going to go for Jameis here. I don't see either team really getting that much pressure on the quarterback. So.
Okay, Stro. Panthers sacks on Jameis Winston, setting that over under at 2.5.
That's what you're going with, 2.5?
No, that's the over under. I'm saying
you said it. Got it.
We only had 1 against the Rams, and they usually get after Jameis pretty good. He's been sacked 9 times by the Panthers, most of any opponent he's gone up against, and this Panthers D-line needs to show out after last week.
Yeah, and what? Who do you have over there? A former Buck. So I'm going to go with over at 4.
All right. Oh. All right, that is the end of third down. So I'm going to check the comments a little bit. We just got, so I really appreciate people joining, commenting. Ask us anything you want. We got first NFL game ever, 61 years old tomorrow night. Have a great time.
Oh, wow.
That's awesome.
Tampa Bay is going to have a great game. We got that one from Angelica down there in Tampa. Picked a good first big division game. I think the Panthers would probably rather have it be the Bucs than the Saints, and Bucs would probably rather have it be the Panthers and the Saints. They just look They didn't look amazing, but man, they found a way to win that game the other night. So, we got some good stuff on here. Let's get to our fourth down. We're just going straight up. Who needs it more? So Tampa, tell me why Tampa needs this game more than Carolina.
The reason why Tampa would need it. Let me start here first, Jay, because I think the reason why Tampa would need it more is to prove that there's a new era of football here, that Dirk Cutter still isn't running this offense, that Bruce Arians is all he's hyped up to be, and that Jameis Winston has turned the corner. There's a lot of questions that needed to be answered that weren't answered in week 1 of the season. So I think Tampa needs this game in the sense of they need to prove that this is a different era of football for them. However, I don't think they get this game. I think they're going to fall to 0-2. I think the Panthers are going to have a field day in this game against the Bucs defense. So predictions, I don't know. We're going to give our predictions a little bit, but I think the Panthers are going to roll over the Bucs.
Yeah, the Bucs need this one more because the schedule that looms ahead. They've got this one against the Panthers, and they have the Giants at home. Those are 2 winnable games. After that, we won't see that team in this city for 7 straight weeks. They have a so-called home game in London against these Panthers in the middle of that. But you go 7 weeks without seeing your own building, your own fans, that is a brutal stretch. And they didn't make excuses about it in the offseason, although I know a lot of them were not happy about what the NFL did with that schedule. You got to win this one, and you have to win against the Giants to go 2-1 because after that, it gets absolutely brutal. 7 straight against some really quality opponents. They got to make some work right now.
Stro, you and I know the Panthers need this more. Why?
Well, there's a whole book over here. No, but one kind of talking about the city aspect. I mean, I just think Charlotte thrives on what the Panthers are doing. The entire, whether you're a football fan or not, the entire energy of the city is affected about what happens right there at Bank of America Stadium on Sundays, in this case on a Thursday. I also think it's a big year for a lot of folks here in Carolina. Coach Rivera, Marty Herney, it's kind of like their last chance to prove why they should stay. And if you want to look down the road, Cam Newton's contract is up after the 2020 season. So he's kind of got a lot to prove these next few seasons.
All right, so I'm going to say the Panthers need this win more, and I'm going to go with Manolo, who commented on Facebook, Carolina's on a huge losing streak. They need this more. Well, they lost 7 of 8 to close last season, so now with that Rams loss, they've lost 8 of 9. Their last home win at Bank of America Stadium, a place they've been great at historically, at least in the Cam Newton, Ron Rivera era, they have not won a game there since November 4th against this very Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
They went to the Super Bowl this decade. Don't give me this. Come on. Don't give the boo-hoo. They haven't won at home.
They need it more. They haven't won at home. Their fans are sad. Come on. You can't have that sad Panther fan video anymore. I'm tired of filing that stuff.
The Bucs fans would love a playoff appearance. You guys are complaining about home wins.
They can't start 0-2. They can't start with a loss in the division. They can't start with 2 straight losses at home. I say the Panthers need it more. You guys make a great case there in Tampa. So, all right, guys, let's finish this up with predictions. We'll start with Justin down in Tampa.
Panthers 27, Bucs 21. The defense isn't as good as it looked last week against the 49ers, and I need to see something more from that offense. It was rough, to say the least. And Bruce Arians, again, we go back to the quarterback whisper, and he's this genius when it comes to offense. And maybe it will eventually click, and maybe that offense will come together. But until it all fits, I just don't see this team beating a team on the road that has playoff aspirations. Let's be real. The Bucs do not have, truthfully, playoff aspirations right now. It's just to get better from that team last year that was just dreadful. So I've got the Panthers in this one.
Ryan?
Panthers 37, Bucs 33, which, by the way, would cover the spread for Tampa Bay if that sport did end up that way. Yeah, for entertainment purposes only, of course. I think both offenses get to work here in this game in Charlotte, North Carolina. Which, by the way, I think it's kind of been interesting in the series. They've kind of flip-flop wins at each other's buildings. They've been really good at winning on the road. But I think Carolina's offense gets it together. I think Cam gets a couple of rushing scores, throws for a few. I don't think Jameis turns the football over. I think he's really efficient in this game. But I just think it's a back and forth affair. Tampa Bay's defense isn't built to play in those type of games. We saw it all last year. They were garbage. I think the Panthers get in the upper 30s in this game, and I think they win it. But it's going to be an exciting one. At least I think that's what everybody wants to watch on Thursday.
Yeah, to your point, Ryan, I think we have a graphic that shows that the team that's won the first game in this series the last bunch of years has gone on to sweep the season series. Now, from Carolina's perspective, we know that they're a streaky team, so that may have something to do with it. But big to get a division game off the bat. I'm going to say Carolina has a get-well game on both sides of the ball. They're happy to scrap that Rams loss, get to it again at home. Their only scheduled primetime game of the year. Same for Tampa, I believe. I think Carolina wins it 31-17 comfortably. Bro.
Oh, I thought you were passing over me. You know, I like to be like Switzerland on this, right? Like, I don't like to give my opinions. I'm going to go 28-21 Panthers. How's that?
That's a prediction. Great job. You did it. See, it wasn't that bad, right?
That would not be within the spread.
Yeah, well, so she may secretly have some money somewhere. I don't know.
What? Never.
Guys, it's going to be right there tomorrow night. Big, beautiful Bank of America Stadium in Uptown Charlotte. Panthers, Bucs on Thursday Night Football. Thank you for joining us on 4 Down Territory. Good luck to you guys the rest of the way.
Appreciate it, guys.
Yeah, you guys as well. Thanks for having us. Appreciate it.